Good evening and welcome. It's time to call this meeting of the San Felipe Del Rio CISD Board of Trustees to order, the day being Monday, May 20th, 2024. Madam Secretary, would you call roll?
Yes, sir. Ms. Luna Chavez?
Present.
Mr. Overfeld?
Present.
Ms. Gonzalez? Here. Mr. Mesa?
Here.
Mr. Galindo?
Present.
Ms. Haynes?
Here.
And myself. Sir, we have a quorum.
That the records show that we do have a quorum of board members and that this meeting was duly called and posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. At this time, we will have opening ceremonies, first with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And we lost a very dear employee of ours, very dear friend, very close person to all of us on the board and everybody else as employees of the district, and that is Aidea Garcia, our Human Resources Director. So again, we will have a moment of silence, especially for her. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. This time we have a recognition, a very important recognition. We have Mrs. Diana Gonzalez, has been a trustee with us for 8 years. She was elected in 2016 and has served as delegate and alternate for the Delegate Assembly when we have our, TASB Delegate Assembly in different areas, San Antonio, Dallas. But again, she has served the district so well as an example of a board member that is committed to the responsibilities of being an elected official. I think she is a true board member that has instilled in us so many happy memories, and we will miss her dearly. She has worked very diligently for the students, for the employees, for the administrators, and she continues to be a guiding light on this board. I have been her friend ever since day one, and I will miss her dearly. I just want to say that you're always welcome to our meetings. Again, she did not run for re-election, and so again, she's stepping off the board. And Dr. Rios, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mesa. On behalf of our entire administrative team and all the people that she supported, we just want to say thank you so much, ma'am. You've been a colleague on this dais, you've been a personal friend, and have always had just the right advice at the right moment. And we thank you for your service, and we wish you the very best. I know you're not going anywhere, but just not having you on the dais is going to be a big change for us. God bless you for all your service. We look forward to working with you in the future.
100% attendance.
And of course, in the 12 years that I've been blessed to be the superintendent, I do believe you are the only board member with 100% attendance at our activities.
8 years. 8 wonderful years. I will also make a cameo appearance every now and then, by the way. So, just so you'll be prepared. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mesa is going to present you with a plaque. I'm going to present you with some flowers. You can come to the front for a picture. Is that okay?
Yeah, I want to say
Oh,
something.
she
else.
has a few words.
I want to say a few
Okay.
words.
Yeah.
You know I'm going to say a few words. Don't cry for me, Del Rio. The truth is, I'll never leave you. No, 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 no. It's been 8 years. How time does fly. It's been an incredible, wonderful ride. And though, as board member, I'm stepping aside, if you need me, call me. I'll be around. I'll try my best not to let you down. You can count on me. Yes, sirree. Mr. Galindo, Ms. Haynes, Ms. Webb, Dr. Rios, Mr. Mesa, Mr. Overfelt, and Mrs. Chavez. It has been a privilege and a pleasure working with you. Our accomplishments continue to benefit students, teachers, and all district staff and the community. Keep on keeping on. The community members that have reached out to me, thank you so much for your words of kindness. And also, I'm going to cry now. I forgot what I was going to say. Your words of kindness and best wishes. We stand united. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care and God bless.
Just want to read for this presentation with sincere gratitude and appreciation presented to Diana Gonzalez, San Felipe de Oro CISD School Board member from 2016 to 2024, for your many outstanding contributions, invaluable leadership, unwavering support, and public service to San Felipe de Oro CISD, today being May 20th, 2024.
Do I want to do it here? Yeah, I'll do it here. I mean, I'm here.
He's taking a picture. So look.
Oh, they're telling me something later. Cool. And you spelled my name too, correct?
Double check.
I got a pet peeve about my last name. She wants to talk. I said, "Wait a minute." Yep. I don't know that. That's pretty.
I know Sandra Fuentes with Voter Organization wants to say something about Diana. We're going to allow it at this time, okay?
Thank you so much. I started writing something down, and all I got was, good evening, Board President Mesa, school board members, and Dr. Rios. I am Sandra Fuentes, co-chair of the Board Organization, and that's as far as I got. So the rest of it, I'm going to wing it, and it's going to come from the heart. So I know that you have served 8 years. We know that you have never missed a single meeting. But I'm wondering how many people know that you were not the most vocal board member up there. You spoke by raising your hand or not raising your hand. How many people know how much good you did behind the scenes? The cafeteria ladies, with their insurance when they fought for that, you were instrumental in getting cafeteria ladies and substitute teachers where they could get their GED at no cost for them. So it is not always the most vocal person up there that talks and talks and talks and talks and says nothing. It's by their actions that speaks volumes. The board organization is not interested in people jockeying for position on the board. We are interested in people that will do what's right for children, for teachers, for support staff. And you, Ms. Gonzalez, You exemplified that. And for that, the board organization is very grateful to you. And I hope that the new board member that's coming on board, and those of you that are still on the board, please learn by her example. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next recognition we have is item B, recognition of career and technical education, robotics team, Team 4063. Tricks are for kids. Roger Gonzalez.
Good evening, Mr. Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. The CT department is proud to recognize one of our fantastic student leadership organizations, Del Rio High School Robotics, also known as Tricks Are for Kids, or Team 4063. Now, to provide you with additional information on their competitions this year is head coach Lauren Cardenas.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. What do NASA, Silicon Valley, and Del Rio have in common? They all had robotics teams qualify for the World Championship. It was a long journey to victory. Team 4063 accounted for over 2,000 build season hours and engaged in 10 community and volunteer projects, including coordinating the Lego League at the Laughlin STEAM Expo, robotics read-alouds to our local elementary students, and even publishing a children's book, written and illustrated by our own Ruby Aguilar. Keep an eye out for that book in school libraries soon. And in all of that, we still put together our best robot yet, Showhopper. We traveled over 2,000 miles to competitions across the state of Texas, participating in 60 matches and 14 playoff matches, strategizing with over 100 teams, and competing against close to 200 others. We earned a win-loss record of 43-17, tying our most wins ever in a single season. At our first event this season in San Antonio, we finished ranked 5th out of 41 teams and were selected as the 3rd overall pick in the playoffs. Our team earned the Gracious Professionalism Award, given to the team that best exemplifies fairness, humility, positivity, and respect. This was our team's 10th Gracious Professionalism Award in our history. We were also awarded the Texas Safety Award, given to the team that best exemplifies safe practices. At our second event this season, all the way out in Amarillo, we finished qualifications ranked 2nd out of 38 teams and were the 1st overall pick to playoffs. Along with Team 4206 from Fort Worth and Team 7088 from Somerset, we went undefeated in the playoffs and won the entire event, earning our team its 12th Blue Banner. Now, something quite fascinating about that Blue Banner. When I was going to write all this and put this presentation together, I decided to search through my files and found the very first board presentation I did back in 2018. At that time, that Blue Banner was our 6th in 2018. We've doubled it since then, the number of Blue Banners. So it's an insane accomplishment for what we've achieved. We were also awarded the Engineering Inspiration Award which celebrates outstanding success and advancing respect and appreciation for STEM within the community, earning us qualification for the state championship. Now, I'd also like to celebrate some of our individual accomplishments. Kendall Carta was named Safety Star at Amarillo and at the state championship. And for the first time since 2016, we had a Dean's List winner. Amanda Ong was one of 20 students statewide named as a Dean's List semifinalist. Recognized for outstanding technical expertise and outreach activities. Competing at the UIL State Championship in Houston, we finished ranked 10th out of 43 teams in our division and were selected as the 7th overall pick to the playoffs. In qualifications, we helped set a field high score of 135 points and earned a spot at the first World Championship. Now, a little bit of perspective related to the World Championship. Out of close to 4,000 active teams worldwide, almost 600 qualified for the World Championship. There were 8 divisions occupying almost a quarter mile of convention center floor, and 16 countries were represented. What an amazing opportunity for our team. We explored NASA on a tour led by Team 4063 alumni. We saw Formula One cars up close, chatted with real Walt Disney Imagineers and their cool animatronics, and even got to meet the real R2-D2. With all that cool stuff going on, we still had a job to do. We were there to compete. It was going to be an uphill battle, and we needed to do something to stand out. Yes, obviously we can score pretty well, but not nearly and quick and as efficient as these elite World Championship teams. Well, we know in sports, in a competition full of Tim Duncans, we decided they would need a Tony Parker. Let's specialize in assists, launching game pieces across the field that could easily be scored by the top bots in our division. And guess what? That strategy worked. We became known as the best feeder robot in the division, feeding up to 25 game pieces in a single match. And that whole strategy worked. We were selected by the number 3 alliance at the World Championship, the highest seeded alliance we have ever played for at the World Championship. We had the opportunity to strategize with a Hall of Fame team and a Michigan State champion, and they valued us as a member of their alliance. And finally, for the first time in our team's history, we won our first ever World Championship playoff match. It was certainly a season to remember, and we want to send a huge thank you to our 6 seniors moving on to bigger things. Can our seniors raise their hand super quickly? We have Camila Resendez, who will be attending Texas A&M to study aerospace engineering. We also have Adrian Villa, who will be attending UTSA to study cybersecurity, and Josue Buenrostro, who will be attending the University of Texas to study chemical engineering. And then we have the 3 seniors on our drive team. That was like the first day they joined. They joined at a critical time in our team's history and set the standard high for our members post-COVID. In a way, they never had a rookie season. But immediately, they became the leaders our team needed. I get emotional because I get close to these kids. They're awesome. Our human player for the season, Lily Hayek, will be attending Texas A&M to major in aerospace engineering. Our driver, Josh Trevino, who I dare say is the best driver in our team's history, will also be attending A&M and will study electrical engineering. And our co-pilot, Hunter Quist, upon completion of a 2-year mission trip in Uruguay, will attend BYU, Idaho to major in welding engineering technologies. Now here's the fun part. Our team's co-founder, Mr. Davis, is retiring from teaching. He was my engineering teacher 18 years ago. Can you believe that? And there's not enough words to describe the impact he has had on our STEM program. He'll definitely continue to mentor our team, so I've heard. But we want to give him a huge congrats on his retirement. I also want to give a huge thank you to our 3 new assistant coaches this year, Juan Celedon, Wendy Staffen, and Susan Wortlaw, as well as our 2 longtime mentors, Linda Davis and Jesse Hernandez. Thank you all for our most successful season ever, and we can't wait to do it again next year. Thank you so much to our sponsors, our booster club, our parents, and to the school district for your continued support. None of this would be possible without you, and we are so grateful to have you as a part of our alliance. Thank you.
Get together in a minute. Yeah. They turn around and give up to the
She's over at the front.
Congratulations, that's awesome. Yes. Congratulations.
What a great way to end the year with Robotics 4063 Tricks Are for Kids. Congratulations. Again, on behalf of CTE, thank you very much to the board, to administration for your support always. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, what an outstanding program and excellent students that represented so well throughout the state with all their accomplishments. great role models for the rest of the students. Thank you, coaches. Thank you, parents. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Next recognition that we have is item C on the agenda, academic UIL state qualifiers. Dr. Sandra Garza.
Ms. Biza de Leon will be making the presentation.
Okay.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. Good morning, good evening, everybody. I am Bizi de Leon. I am honored and privileged to serve as the UIL coordinator for San Felipe Del Rio CISD and also the UIL coordinator for Del Rio High School. According to the UIL.org, the purpose of the University Interscholastic League, better known as UIL, is to organize and properly supervise contests that assist in preparing students for citizenship. It aims to provide healthy character-building educational activities carried out under rules, providing for good sportsmanship and fair play for all participants. It affirms that students are the focus of the UIL endeavor and deserve an opportunity to mention a few of its goals, feel a sense of pride and dignity, develop the ability to lead and the willingness to follow, cultivate lifetime skills, complement classwork with practice and performance, have fun, and ultimately discover that the true meaning of winning is doing one's best. This is my second year serving as UIL coordinator, and I would like to acknowledge and recognize some standout students that have been representing our school district in different competitions. Starting from San Felipe Memorial Middle School. State qualifier, Senia de Leon Briones. In calculator applications, Joseph Nalasco, calculator applications. James Ord in science. Kayla Riley, Coach Kayla Riley, computer apps coach and UIL 6th grade coach of the year. Miss Ann Castorena, science coach and UIL coordinator for San Felipe Memorial Middle School. Principal, Miss Maribel Flores. Del Rio Middle School, state qualifiers, Scarlett Baker, 7th grade science. Kathleen Gutierrez, 7th grade mathematics. Abigail Leonor, 7th grade calculator applications, math and number sense. Abigail placed 6th in the state of Texas for number sense. Jorge Limon, 7th grade number sense. Prudence Munderbach, 7th grade science. Liam Raymond, 7th grade number sense. Juliana Van D, 7th grade number sense and science. 8th grade science, Avery Leverett. 8th grade science, Evelyn Rocha. Emily Shao, 8th grade number sense. Del Rio Middle School UIL coaches, Teresa Teresa Garcia, calculator applications coach. Jose Rangel, mathematics coach. Arturo Padilla, number sense coach. Lara Paredes and Beatriz Padilla, science coaches. Principals for Del Rio Middle School, Mr. Jorge Jurado and Mr. Jesus Soto. UIL coordinator is Ms. Yadira Hernandez at Del Rio Middle School. Del Rio High School, we have Abigail Cajero, 2nd place in district as a sophomore, 1st place as a junior in Lincoln Douglas debate, advanced to region. David Bosques, 3rd place as a sophomore, advanced to region. Katie de la Mota in number sense. Joel Mejia in number sense. Jaden Ortiz, number sense. Now, Alexander Perez, he could not be here tonight because on top of being just a standout student, Just to give you a little background on Alexander, he has won first place in state 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and now his 9th grade year. In number sense. The whole team was eligible to compete at regionals. We have Del Rio High School UIL coaches, Campbell Ochoa, number sense coach. We have Jacqueline Jimenez, Lincoln Douglas debate coach. She is also the Del Rio High School UIL Coach of the Year, and Principal Mrs. Cynthia Salas. Again, I am the UIL coordinator for Del Rio High School. I just wanted to give a few thank yous, of course, to the community. Okay, without you, none of this would be possible. Special thank you to, of course, the kiddos themselves, the students. I know they work really hard throughout the whole year. We end in elementary, the year for UIL ends in December. We start competing in January and we end in May. So that's just to give you a little background on UIL. We would like to also thank the students and the parents and the families, because I know a lot of times it's the grandmas and the grandpas and the aunts and the uncles. My parents are still here. As old as I am, they're still here. They're helping out. Thank you to Dr. Sandy Garza. A special thank you to Ms. Martha Sanchez and Ms. Kimberly Martinez for all of their support and their help always. And we're very, very proud of these students, and we anticipate more success. Congratulations to all the students and the families, and we can't wait to see what you do next year and in the future.
Easy, move them over to that way. Yeah, and to the front.
There you go. There you go.
Take a knee. To the front.
Walk up, yeah. He's gonna go fix it. There you go. He knows how to put it. He's really good at symmetry. There you go.
Good job, man. Very nice.
Excellent.
Congrats. Very good. Thank you. Great. Congrats.
Again, we are so proud of our students for accomplishing, again, so many great things at their competition. Again, we wish them well, and what an awesome group. Thank you, parents, for all your support. This time we have item D, athletic state qualifier for golf, Mr. Frenchie McCray.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the school board. Thank you again for allowing us to come tonight to honor our student athletes. This evening, we want to present to you our state qualifier in golf, Mr. Isaac Diaz. Isaac is accompanied by his coach, head coach Oscar Cardenas, Coach Esquivel, and Coach Nieto, who assist. I had the privilege of going to Georgetown to watch this young man play. I've been to several of his opportunities to play, and he is just purely amazing. Just watching this young man and how he conducts himself. If you ever get a chance, please go check him out. He's awesome. Some of his accolades is, one, he is only a sophomore, but he has won back-to-back district titles in 36A. He's a back-to-back regional qualifier, and he finished 9th at our state golf tournament. Give him a round of applause for that. He's the epitome of hard work and dedication. Some of the young men that he was competing against definitely have an advantage on him, but his tenacity and his hard work drove him all the way, and he played with him shot for shot. And we're just excited for not only now, but the future. Coach Oscar Cardenas says that here in the next few years, he anticipates that not only will Isaac be going to the state tournament, that we will have an entire golf team going with him. Again, thank you so much. Again, our state qualifier, Mr. Isaac Diaz.
Hey, Mr. Neto, very good.
Again, what an accomplishment for being a sophomore, so we look forward to next year.
Yes, sir.
And that's awesome. Isaac, you're doing great representing us. This time we will have, again, another recognition, Athletic All-State Academic for softball. Mr. McRae.
President Mesa, we actually have a couple of our sports that are with us tonight that have the Academic All-State. I would like to present to them tonight. To be nominated for Academic All-State, a student must be a student athlete, student trainer, or manager in good standing with his team or her team, of good moral character, a senior, and have an overall grade point average of 92 or above from grades 9 through 12. We've honored this first group of student athletes earlier this year with the Texas High School Association, Texas All-State Academic, but they return to you tonight as the All-State for the Texas Association of Basketball Coaches. So they've won 2 different academic state awards. We have Dariela Mijangos, Lizette Rivas, who is also number 8 in her class, Elisandra Garcia, Caitlin Lewis, who was not able to be with us tonight, and Gianna Urias, and Alejandra Bonal. We would also want to recognize our Texas High School Association Academic All-State in softball, head coach Al Soto. Our first recipient, let me recognize my head Queens basketball coach, Marisa Soto. I'm sorry, coach. I'll pay for that later on. Head softball coach, Al Soto, and we're recognizing Miss Cian Casillas, Academic All-State, and Alana Hope Martinez, softball Academic All-State. This next group of student athletes will be representing All-State academics in the Texas High School Association, as well as the Texas Association of Soccer Coaches that, again, won 2 state academic awards. Our head coach is Wilbur Rivas, and he's accompanied by his Assistant Coach Beatriz Ledma. Our first recipient, who's also number 2 in her class, is Alexis Segura. She's also a member of Early College High School. Our second recipient, who was not able to make it, is Paloma Mendez. She's also Early College High School. Our next recipient is Andrea Salceda, Delaware High School. And last, Daniela Quintero. We also want to recognize Rams Track and Field head coach Rick Torres. First recognition is Mr. Christopher Cheney, who's number 4 in his class currently. And Mr. Hector Rodriguez. We also want to recognize Queens Track, Academic All-State. Head coach is Ricky Limon, Jesus Limon, but standing in his stead today is Ms. Vicky Perez. Our first recipient is Emily Torres. She was also recognized as our Female Athlete of the Year. And Ms. Peyton Becker. Our next recipient is the only junior that will be on stage tonight. She was up earlier being recognized with robotics, but we want to recognize her because when it comes to swim, they're allowed to recognize juniors and seniors. And this is for the Texas Interscholastic Swimming Coaches Association All-State Academic. We have Miss Amanda Ong. She was currently number 1 in her class of 2025. I'm excited to say not only do we play and excel on and off the court, the field, we also do well in the classroom. Academics is extremely important to us, and if you have been with us over the last couple of meetings, I've been able to present to you our student athletes. Thank you so much for all you do, athletes, coaches. We are honored to be recognized in the state of Texas for our academics. In closing, I would like to thank our school board, President Mesa, Dr. Rios. I would like to thank all our faculty, staff, our administration at the various campuses, because we know that it's a team effort. So thank you for everything you have done to support us, to have our back, and we thank you for just allowing us to honor our student athletes one more time. Thank you.
Once again, these students make us so proud because they represent us so well, and academically, they're doing outstanding. So not only are they great students, but they represent us in so many different sports and different programs that we have throughout the district. Thank you again, students. Thank you, coaches. Thank you, parents. Next item we have on our agenda is item 5, canvassing of the San Felipe Del Rio CISD School Board election held on Saturday, May 4th. Sandra Hernandez.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. The Board of Trustees election for Place 2, Place 6, and Place 7 was held on Saturday, May 4th, 2024. In accordance with Texas election laws, the canvass cannot occur until the early voting ballot board has verified and counted all provisional and mail-in ballots. Today's canvassing of the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District School Board election meets all required statutes. Attached separately is a detailed summary of the election results indicating the total number of votes received for each candidate by precinct. Each summary includes the total number of votes received through early voting, in person, early voting by mail, and the number of votes received on election day. And for the purpose of today's meeting, we will only refer to that one sheet which is highlighted. It'll be the contested vote, the contested election with Mr. Diego M. Almaraz Jr. and Mr. Ken Smith. For Diego M. Almaraz Jr., the total number of votes was 61.52%, 74 absentee votes, 643 early voting votes, and 330 votes on election day, bringing a total to 1,047 votes. Mr. Ken Smith with 38.48% of the votes, 35 absentee votes, 438 early voting votes, and 182 votes on election day, bringing a total to 655 votes. Therefore, the total votes cast on this election, the clear winner is Mr. Diego M. Almaraz Jr. There are 2 uncontested votes for Place 2 and Place 6, and those are the positions for Mr. Joshua D. Overfelt and Miss Amy Haynes, and they are also the clear winners of their election. And at this time, I could make the recommendation to the board.
Thank you very much for the report, and again, we will take the motion or take the recommendation.
Yes, sir. It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the summary of the school board election results held on Saturday, May 4th, 2024, as presented by the ballot board.
You have heard the recommendation. There's a motion by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Mrs. Webb. All those in favor? Unanimously approved.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. At this time, we will have, again, the statement of officer and oath of newly elected officers. We have the Honorable Judge Sergio Gonzalez.
I, Joshua D. Overfelt, do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God. Thank you, sir.
I
I, Josh Overfelt,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of
the duties of the office of
San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District Board of Trustees,
San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District Board of Trustees,
Place 2,
Place 2
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve,
protect,
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Does he read his statement first? Thank you, Judge.
I, Diego M. Almaraz Jr., do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God.
Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Diego Almaraz Jr.,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District
San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District
Board of Trustees,
Board of Trustees,
Place 6,
Place 6
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve,
protect,
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and laws
and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, sir.
I, Amy Haynes, do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be. So help me God.
I state your name.
I, Amy Haynes,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties of
that I will faithfully execute the duties of
the office of San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District
the office of San Felipe Del Rio Independent Consolidated School District,
Board of Trustees,
Board of Trustees,
Place 7
Place 7
of the State of Texas,
of the State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Yes, ma'am. Here, come here. So I have more to do. Sign right there, please.
Thank you, Judge. Always nice to see you. Yes, sir.
Dr. Mesa.
Dr. Mesa.
Congratulations, sir. Thank you. Wish you the best. Mr. Roosevelt, bless. Wish you the best. Mucho gusto.
Igualmente. Gracias.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir.
Gracias a usted. Gracias por todo. Always nice to see you. Yes, sir. Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Judge Sergio Gonzalez. And congratulations to our new board members. Amy, you're not new to this board, or Josh, but Mr. Diego, welcome again. At this time, as is the custom after every election, we have a reorganization of the board. We vote again for president, vice president, and secretary. At this time, I will take any nominations for president. Mr. Orfeld.
Mr. Mesa, I believe that we have been doing good under your leadership, and therefore I nominate you to continue serving as board president.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, Mrs. Webb, all those in favor? Thank you so much for your vote of confidence. Thank you. At this time, I would like to make a nomination of Mr. Josh Overfelt for vice president. Mr. Overfelt has been on the board for some time now and has done an excellent job in regard to every item that comes up before the board. So I would like to second it. Ms. Becky Chavez seconded. All those in favor? Okay. Vote is unanimous. Congratulations. Mrs. Webb?
For the next nomination?
Yes, I would like to take a nomination for secretary.
Yes, sir. I would like to nominate Mr. Galindo for secretary.
Okay, seconded by Mrs. Chavez. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Okay. Yes, we need to change seats now.
Sorry,
Mr. Felt here and.
I'll be right here, though.
Mr. Galindo over here. Thank you so much again. Our board has really been working together, and we have some real tough subjects coming up with the budget in regard to, again, addressing budget concerns. And so I'm really proud of the board members for working diligently on every aspect of their responsibility. And we welcome again Mr. Diego Almaraz. We'll continue with our agenda. Next item we have. Okay, this time we will take a short break. Okay, 5 minutes before we resume our agenda. We'll come back at 7:05. Okay, we will now reconvene to our meeting. Again, we took a 8-minute break. We'll continue with the next item on our agenda. The next item that we have is citizens to be heard. First person that signed up, we have Avery Leverett. Topic is arts budget proposal. Again, we're going to allow 3 minutes for the speaker to address the issue. Again, the arts budget proposal. Avery, welcome.
All right. Hello, members of the esteemed SFDR CISD School Board. As you know, you are currently going to be in a deficit the next school year. And one of your proposals has been to slash the budget for the arts programs in the elementary schools across the district. I, however, think this is unfair to the elementary school students who currently reside in the district. As you know, there are over 1,000 kids in that district, and there's about 8 teachers, art and music, for those schools. In your proposal to slash the school year in half, have one half be dedicated to music and one half be dedicated to art, is, in my opinion, frankly, a very bad idea. I ask you, were you all privileged to have the wonderful experience of being able to do art and music classes unrestricted? I'd say you most likely have. And I ask you, the crowd, have you been also privileged to have those same experiences? If your answer is yes, then let me ask you, is it fair for these elementary kids whose educations have already been disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic to have their educations once more disrupted by this budget slash? I don't think it is. I ask you to find some other solution to this budget deficit. It's just not fair that these students, and not every child, will want to spend half their year doing music or half their year doing art. And not to mention, you're also putting these teachers out of a job. It's unfair to them as well. So I ask you, please find another solution. That is all I have to say.
Thank you. I want to compliment you again on coming before the board, because not every student would be able to do that. So thank you again for doing that. At this time, we have again our next person that signed up, Mallory McGuire, Arts Elementary Program.
Good evening, Mr. Mesa, Dr. Rios, and school board trustees. My name is Mallory McGuire. I am a third grade student from Ceniza Hills Elementary. Go Bears! I am here today to talk to you all about why you should not remove art from our schools. I love art, and we learn so much more than just coloring with crayons and completing coloring pages. We use markers, paint, pastels, and chalk to enhance our artwork. My fabulous art teacher, Miss Bowman, teaches us how to draw by using step-by-step different areas of art while teaching step-by-step instruction. She gives us opportunities to let our creative minds explore different areas of art while teaching us about different artists like Leonardo da Vinci, which he created the Mona Lisa. I can confidently state that my class stands by my position, because when Ms. Bowman told us the news, we were all in shock and could not believe that they would take away our outlet to be creative and let our minds explore. There are students who learn better when they have a different way of expressing their creativity. You would be taking that away from them, and not a single student will be able to learn how art can help us develop our creativity. When we are being asked to use our creativity in other aspects, including state testing, it is backwards. that we do not have art to help our creativity soar. Art has always been my favorite class during special ed, and I'm sure most people agree with me. Therefore, I ask you, please reconsider taking away the only source of creativity. We need art. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you again. Next person we have signed up is Kaylee Morales.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, Mr. Mesa, and school board members. My name is Kaylee Morales, and I am 17 years old, and I am a junior in the Del Rio High School. At this time, I'd like to extend my invitation to the audience, as I have brought alongside me members of the Del Rio High School Orchestra and Del Rio High School Choir. If you are an alumni or currently registered in these programs, please stand. School board members, I stand before you to advocate for the elementary fine arts budget. These members in the community all started somewhere. They did not just wake up one morning and decide, I want to play an instrument, or I want to be brave and use my voice. They all started from the elementary school level. I started playing with the elementary school strings program with the violin at the age of 9. I have been playing for now 7 years, going on 8. I learned that there was an orchestra program in the 4th grade. Currently, there is no orchestra program anymore at the elementary school level. And now the elementary school fine arts program is in dire peril as our children now face the loss of the opportunity to learn about the different instruments and sing in their elementary schools full year round, that they may harness their talents in preparation for the secondary school level. What will the loss of the foundation of the curiosity in the fine arts accomplish? The answer is nothing. The College Board, the program the school district has chosen to partner with for the advanced placement classes and test exams, has an article on why extracurriculars, including band, orchestra, and choir, are important. These extracurriculars, due to their unhindering weight that they carry to assist a student into being accepting into colleges. By significantly reducing the opportunity to create the foundation for these programs, we lessen the chances for our students, the future, to be accepted into colleges. Success favors the prepared. That is the motto of the National Technical Honor Society. Success for the future students of Del Rio. I participated in the Ruben Chavira Elementary School Choir and Strings program, and I now, along with some students behind me, are advancing to the state solo and ensemble this upcoming Monday. Removing and downgrading the foundation of the arts program here in Del Rio, Texas, will be a loss for the school district's accomplishments in the fine arts. If this is truly a decision the school board wishes to make, I simply have one request. If you have a child, nieces, nephews, or grandchildren, I wish for you to take down their arts and crafts hanging on your refrigerators and prevent them from singing in your homes. That is what our world will sound like at the fall of our arts programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This time we will go on to our next item on our agenda, and that is facilities and construction update. Mr. Hector Chapa.
Good evening, Mr. Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Tonight's presentation includes an update on the electrical buses deployment, as well as the Cordy Warlaw Gym renovation. The electrical bus deployment is commenced. As of last week, 12 chargers have been updated and are deployed. 12 buses are currently being charged on a daily basis. The 7 remaining chargers are the rapid chargers. They're going through the commissioning process. As part of the process, a checklist for each individual unit was prepared by the electrical team and submitted for review by the manufacturer. That review takes approximately 2 to 3 weeks. As of last week, we should be pending 2 weeks when they'll deploy a technician to do the physical commissioning on site. And if everything goes well, within 2 to 3 days, those rapid chargers will be available as well. For the Cody Ward Law, we're in the bidding process. Bid opening is scheduled for May the 30th. There's an addendum scheduled to be released with some answers to questions that contractors have posed. Any questions regarding these?
I'll
two
turn it
projects?
over to board members for questions. I have one big question, Mr. Chapa.
Yes, sir.
What would it delay if, or what problems would occur if we delay this project? I know it's a combination of city and school funding, but Dr. Rios, what if we wait another year?
The only thing that would happen, Mr. Mesa, is well, besides the city being anxious about getting it done, the only thing that would happen was that the cost would increase, the construction costs would increase as they have over the last couple of years, and then that project too would be below budget, or I should say over budget. There wouldn't be enough funds because unfortunately construction costs increased anywhere from 10 to 15% on the average. At least that's the trend over the past couple of years. But that is it. Just the city needing a gym and the costs going up, which is probably the bigger of the two problems.
Would it be possible to go before the city to enlighten them in regard to what is going on with the state not funding properly, this school year because everyone is suffering this consequence? Would it help? I wouldn't mind going to city council meetings.
I think that if that's the decision of the board, I think it would be important to go to the city and explain the delay, but then we would also have to negotiate, see if the city's willing to split the increased cost of construction with us. I don't have that answer, sir, because we haven't had that discussion with the city. I'm sure they would be understanding of where we're at, but again, there's a difference between being understanding and being willing to assume an additional $100,000.
And again, this is not just one board member's decision, because again, I'm just one member of this board, but I don't know, would the rest of the board members be interested in doing something like that, where we can go to city council and explain? I would like to educate them as to what is going on around the state. We're not the only ones. Everyone is letting librarians go, custodians. It is not a very good year for funding from the state, and they need to know how this came about, because it's really not our fault. Nobody wants to accept the blame, but the blame goes to the governor. We're not getting his vouchers, program passed. But I think we need to educate the public into what is going on, because I see this as a possible solution, possible small solution for our deficit budget that we adopted. I don't know if the rest of the board members feel that way, but
Yes, sir.
sir, would it be possible, do you want to go before the council? I don't mind going before the council.
If the board directs me, I don't mind going before the council and explaining the situation. But what we're going to do, Mr. Mesa, is that we have a budget workshop this coming week, and we also have a special meeting following the budget workshop, and we could take some formal action at that point and maybe come up with a resolution to visit with the city officials. I'll definitely have a conversation so that they can be aware of what's going on. But I think there's some other items to discuss, just so that everybody understands. The if the board's intention is to delay the project, I think that there's a solution for that. But if the board's intention is to use the funds allocated to this project to buy us one more year, then, we also have to be clear on that, because once we spend those dollars let's say it was $1 million from the school, and we would use that $1 million to not reorganize one sector of the different organizations that are up for reorganization. That's understandable, and that's definitely doable. But there's two things that we have to understand. One, it buys us 1 year, because once that $1 million is spent, we buy one more year. But that money is never coming back to us. So in effect, what that delays is the decision for 1 year. Because we know that the state is not going to come next year and say, hey, by the way, here's $1 million that we owe you from last year, and here's 2 more millions to move forward so you can move forward with an average budget. That's why we just have to be clear in what we want to communicate to the city. It can't be we're delaying the project, because that would mean that we would just be using the money for interest. That money was still going to be there in a year. But if we're delaying the project to not be able to reorganize employees, that buys us exactly 1 year. But that money is never coming back from the state. The state is not going to make us whole from what they didn't give us this year. And I think that the part that is difficult to explain for the community is that the state didn't fund us for 2 years. They didn't fund us for this year that we're finishing, and they didn't fund us for the coming year. So that's 2 years of back-to-back deficit. And they're not going to come back and say, hey, by the way, we owe you all $4 million. Here it is, along with the $4 million for the next 2 years. They're not going to do that. That would be incredibly huge on their part. That would be a total solution, but that is not going to happen. So we just need to be clear on what we communicate to the city. It's not, if our intentions are to use that money to decrease the deficit, it's only decreasing it for 1 year, because that money will not be there the following year. And again, I've always been clear. The board are entrusted by the citizens to use the money. And I will deliver any message that you'd like for me to deliver. But it isn't a delay. Once we use the money, it's not doing the project at all.
I understand. I just, again, trying to be creative and tightening our belt in areas where it's less destructive. But at the same time, thinking when we started this, it was a conversation with a different city manager. We have an interim now, and so I don't know what the priorities are, if they're the same or not. I mean, we welcome the funding because it will be utilized by both school district and city, but we're in very difficult situation right now with the deficit budget. And so to me, I'm looking at every possible solution, and this is why I'm being vocal about it, because we have to find areas that can be less destructive and less of an effect on letting people go, employees. But again, it's a board decision to be made. Ms. Wood.
I'm in agreement with you that the city needs to know what's going on, and it's not the board up here that is trying to make cuts. We don't have the funding from the state. We're not going to get it. But the city needs to know what's going on as well. I mean, they hear things from different people out in the public, but it's not coming directly from us, and what you hear out in the public, sometimes it's totally wrong. But they do have a budget meeting scheduled for the city on the 28th, and that's when we have our budget meeting as well. They have a city council meeting on the 28th.
So we can, at the next one, when do we have our next budget? 28th, 7th budget meeting?
Next Tuesday.
Yes.
Next Tuesday.
Would still be time to think this over?
Yes, sir. I just think that, we'd have to craft a letter and a presentation of, where's Ms. Childers? So for example, the city provided us the 1.2 million approximately 4 months ago. Okay. Just in all fairness and transparency, just because there's a lot to discuss, the board would have to decide to do away with the project, because again, that money wouldn't come back unless the city wanted to fund all of it. Another consideration would be to give Cody Warlaw, and I'm not advocating that, I'm just merely making suggestions, completely give Cody Warlaw to the city, and then have them assume all $2.4 million of the renovations. That would be an option. That might set them at ease more. Or it might be return the money with 6 months interest, because we have invested the money over 6 months to help the project along. So there's a lot of considerations and there's a lot of options. But I think that we have to discuss those before we decide what we formally do. For those people that do want an extra gymnasium for the city, it is a possibility to hand over Cody Warlaw 100% to the city. I'm not suggesting that, I'm just saying it's a consideration. And then we don't have to worry about ever making up the 1.2 million that was our share of it, because we're not gonna be able to do it. But for those that want a gym, well, there's Cody Warlaw, and the city may want to complete the entire project on their own.
So that answers my other question, is our share is 1.2 million?
Approximately.
Okay. And just, I mean, I don't want to give anything away that belongs to the district, but I'm looking at different options, and so the conversation will continue. Thank you. We'll go on with the next report.
So we'll proceed to the work order summaries. For the maintenance work orders for the month of February through April, end of April, the maintenance department received a total of 1,036 tickets or work orders. Remaining open is 125 for a total percentage of 88% of closure. Within the 0 to 15 days, 200 tickets were received, 165 were closed, percentage rate of 83. 16 to 30 days, 226 were received, 193 were closed, percentage rate of 85. 31 to 60 days, 265 received, 236 closed for a closure rate of 89. And 61 to 90 days, 345 were received, 317 were closed for a closure rate of 92. Technology, for the 90-day period, a total of 2,228 tickets were received, 2,149 were closed for a closure rate of 96. And the further breakdown, 0 to 15 days, 453 tickets were received, 423 were closed, closure rate of 93. 16 to 30 days, 338 tickets were received, 322 were closed for a closure rate of 95%. 31 to 60 days, 551 tickets were received, 533 were closed for a closure rate of 97%. And 61 to 90 days, 886 tickets were received, 871 were closed for a closure rate of 98%. Transportation Department, during the 90-day period, 210 tickets were received, 196 was closed for a total of 93%. 0 to 15 days, 37 tickets were received, 30 were closed for a closure rate of 81%. 16 to 30 days, 27 tickets were received, 25 were closed, closure rate of 93%. 31 to 60 days, 69 received, 67 closed for a 97% rate. And 61 to 90 days, 77 tickets were received, 74 tickets were closed for a closure rate of 96%.
Questions from board members? I have a big question, sir. Why are we having so much difficulty with the electrical buses? Dr. Rios?
That answer would probably be better addressed by Mr. Cabello. He's the transportation director. I don't want to put Mr. Chop on the spot because he's going to think that we put transportation under him.
And the reason I'm asking is they're showing all the codes, air conditioner, brake system, and so on, and these are brand-new buses.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Very general answer, sir, is I believe that perhaps they wanted to rush the buses to us. However, they are being held accountable. And for example, today, a technician from Cummings will be here all week to address the issues. And tomorrow, a technician from AZ Buses, who we purchased the buses from, will arrive for the rest of the week as well. Beyond that, sir, I really don't have an answer. It is a learning curve for us. However, it's not fair for our technicians to try to solve that. So my foreman has been working with them to help diagnose some of the issues. They sent some parts ahead of time so that as the technicians have arrived, some parts are here for them to start taking care of the buses.
Wow. I mean, these are brand-new buses.
Yes.
Sir, the big question, when is the cutoff date to declare the other buses gas-powered that we're not going to keep?
October, sir. The exact date in October, I don't know. But it is October, and we will we're not planning to do anything with those buses until towards the latter part of summer. So we have a lot of time for that. I will tell you this, Mr. Mesa, a lot of the buses that we're getting rid of were no longer in service. That's exactly why we're replacing them. They range from 2000 to 2007. Those are the 19 buses that are being replaced. And a lot of them, it was draining on my technicians to be repairing them. Also, even though we have had a lot of the buses, electrical buses, disappoint us, I do remind that the rollout was in phases. So phase one, as Mr. Chapa mentioned earlier, was only 12 buses. So as a bus broke down, we were able to bring another bus and put it into service. So basically, all the drivers who were slated to have an electric bus are on an electric bus. And I will also say that even though it is unfortunate that several of the buses are giving us issues, the ones that are working are doing a wonderful job. All our older buses without working ACs are no longer being used. Right now, for example, it is priority these days, that's been over 100 degrees, to make sure that all buses out on routes have working ACs. And we've only been able to accomplish that because of the electric buses. They accelerate faster, and not that my bus driver should be racing, but that's important. For example, the buses that go out to San Felipe and to Valverde, so that when they get on Highway 90, they can merge with traffic. They have a better turn radius, so the buses that, for example, go to Cienegas and San Felipe, where there's tight areas, they can maneuver better through those streets. So we are seeing some successes, sir.
I do read the reports, and the brake system is the one that concerns me.
Yes, sir, but also keep in mind, though, that they have a lot of warning systems, so it's not like the brakes failed. The bus, it warns the driver ahead of time we pull over, and the lead foreman goes out there and says, nope, we ain't moving, and we just deploy.
Sir, could I ask a favor of you? Next meeting, could you bring the statistics in regard to how many districts are having this issue with these buses? I'm sure they have all the reports. And I'm talking either from the purchasing company.
So, unfortunately, Mr. Mesa, there are very few districts in the state of Texas with electrical buses. However, the person that sold us the bus may have a report, but again, there's very few districts in the state of Texas, and there's also a few across the country. But in working with a vendor, perhaps they can provide something. So
I just want to see, why. I mean, it's a brand new. I mean, I have an all electrical vehicle, no issues with it. I mean, a bus should be a lot better than a normal vehicle for regular people. So I'm just concerned about that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
I'll do some research for the next meeting, sir.
Thank you. You could bring it to us
Yes, sir.
Or include it in the report. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chapa.
Thank you.
Next item we have is item B, 2024-2025 projected budget update. Amy Childress. Good news, right, Amy? I hope.
Good evening, President Mesa and Dr. Rios and members of the board. This evening, I'd like to just provide an informational update on our projected budget for the 2024-25 school year. We have made some updates since our last budget workshop, and just a reminder that this is a constantly budget being updated. We do not have to adopt until the June 30th, so we just wanted to provide some information up to date at this time. So currently for our 2024-2025 budget, our total projected revenue is $101,324,254. Our expenditures are the following categories: wages and benefits, $77,538,067. Our current health insurance contribution, which is based on the $640.01 that we currently contribute monthly, is $8,831,851. For substitutes, extra duty, and tutorials, the expenditure amount is $1,376,200. We currently have a reduction to health insurance contribution. This is based on currently the planning amount of the $479, which is the TRS Active Care Plan at this time. Again, we're just using that as a funding amount, and this would only be savings for a half a year because of our plan. It's on a calendar year. These savings would just cover a half a year. It would start in January. But that decrease would be, a reduction, would be $721,267. Our current campus budgets are $781,779. Our departmental budgets are $7,103,929. Our operational budgets are $4,666,310. Our state programs budgets are $4,064,738. Our student program budgets are $1,863,988. We have a payment for our energy savings maintenance tax plan that we did back in 2018. The payment for this year would be $1,330,600. And our expenditures for our sustainability operations and technology plan are currently $280,000. So this represents a total projected expenditures for 2024-25 of $107,116,195, bringing us to a total projected deficit of $5,791,941 at this time. The next couple of slides that I'm going to go over are proposed reductions that would possibly generate potential savings. The first slide I have is proposed reductions due to district reorganization. And the first area we would be looking at are district leadership. These are personnel positions. The first would be the curriculum coordinator instructional technology position. That would generate a savings of $110,183. The next position is the Title I coordinator. This is this would not generate any savings or additions to the general fund budget because this position would be moved to another vacancy or position that is also being generally funded. The next position is the PEAMS TSDS coordinator position. That would provide a savings of $108,480. The next position is the LSSP coordinator. This position is currently general funded. If we move it to grant funded, it would provide savings of $138,940. And the next position is the data fellow position. Again, this is a position is currently grant funded, and that grant is ending. So this position would be available to, again, apply for a current district vacancy in the general fund, so it would not net any savings or additional money towards the general fund. The next area I'm going to go over is district personnel. The first one we have is the maintenance technicians. There's 2 positions that would garner a savings of $172,312. And the next position would be an ID recruitment clerk. Again, this is currently a grant-funded position. The grant, we are receiving a reduction in funds for this particular grant. So this position, again, there are some general fund vacancies that this position would be reassigned to. So it does not, again, garner a savings nor a additional funding for the general fund. The next slide I have continues proposed reductions due to district reorganization. This would be the positions listed under campus leadership. The first one we're proposing is the reduction of a Del Rio Middle School principal. This would provide savings of $113,541. The early college high school assistant principal would garner a savings of $113,541. The removal of the Del Rio Middle School Dean of Instruction would garner savings of $74,217. The next positions we have are 3 assistant principal interns that we currently have. Again, these are 3 positions that are currently grant funded. The grant is ending, and these positions would again be available to apply or be reassigned to current or soon to be current district vacancies that are funded locally. The last item on this slide is our help grant counselors. Again, these there are 3 of them. They are currently split funded, partially with the local general fund, partially with a grant that again is ending, and we are going to absorb the portion that is grant funded, so they will become 100% general fund funded. So that will actually put back on $110,451 back onto the general fund. The next slide I have as we continue is for campus personnel. The first item I have is the elementary campus librarians. There are 7 positions that would go back to current vacancies, general funded vacancies. That total would be a reduction of $591,882 to the general fund budget. The next item is the elementary campus fine arts teachers for the art and music program. Again, with the reorganization that we are proposing, there would be 6 teachers that would be go into the current district vacancies that are funded through the general fund. That would be a savings of $464,083. The next position are 3 bilingual ESL strategists. Again, they are currently funded with a grant that is ending, and we would those positions would again be able to be reassigned or apply for current vacancies that are funded through the general fund. And also we have a secondary P-TECH teacher, again, that is grant funded, and they would just be brought on in a vacancy or conversion of a position with the general fund. So those two positions would not garner any additional savings nor additions to the general fund budget. All in all, with the total proposed reductions due to district reorganization, if we were to apply all of these to our current deficit budget, would be a savings of $1,776,728 that we could apply to the current deficit of $5,791,941.
Questions from board members? Amy, can you again tell me about the librarians, for example? These are vacancies?
I will, Mr. President, that's okay.
Yes.
There's enough elementary vacancies to absorb any position reorganization. So when individuals mention about people losing their job, they mean they're losing their current assignment. There are enough vacancies for anybody that is reassigned. So it's either, we can look at it as a reorganization or as a reassignment. But as far as somebody losing their job and not receiving any type of income, that's just, we would never do that. First of all, we're not allowed to. That takes board action. So there's enough elementary vacancies to absorb reassignments, sir.
Because when I look at that amount, I mean, the one project that I spoke about, and I'm talking about Cody Wardlaw. You see all the people that were affected? I mean, they're, and one project would almost make the entire amount. Yeah, I could care less if Cody Wardlaw waits 2 years. You know, the city waits 2 years for us to do that. You're in no rush. But I'm just speaking, again, what I'm feeling. There's so many people that are going to be displaced, you know, with this and that small amount. I mean, to me, the priority is personnel, you know, not buildings. It's just me thinking out loud. Sorry, Amy. You're in the middle of this. But again, it makes a lot of sense for us to delay the project. When I look at this, and I'm thinking, the students are the ones that are going to suffer, not the employees. I mean, yeah, they get displaced, but you're subject to reassignment. Every contract that I got, of the last item that I read, subject to reassignment. But it's just with one project that, you know, we don't have a rush to see Cody Wardlaw remodeled, you know, and the city use it, and us, it's not being utilized right now. And that's fine with me until we get something straightened out from the state. I don't know how the other board members feel about that.
I got a lot of questions about different things.
Okay.
Whenever.
Okay. Amy, are you finished with your presentation?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Just
Okay.
a few more things.
Okay, let's go on.
Just real quick. Before I go to the next slide, I do want to mention each of you do have up on your credenza. We provided you, so I have provided you with an updated interactive budget. It does have all of these proposed potential savings that I mentioned here are on the workbook so that you can go in and choose yes or no, same as the capital expenditure projects, so that you can see how the deficit or proposed budget would change, as well as the committed project fund balance. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm willing to sit with you and go over it with you if you'd like. I know Mr. Galindo had some problems that I can't figure out as far as the program. But yes, please feel free to reach out and let me know. But so my next slide is an update on our district health insurance contribution, where we are in that process. So as I mentioned earlier, our current monthly contribution for this year is the $640.01 per month per employee. For the 2024-25 budget planning purposes, we are using the $479 a month per employee This is the TRS Active Care Region 15 pricing plan that we currently have. Again, we are not necessarily adopting the insurance plan. We are just using it for our planning purposes for budget. Our current employee benefits consultant, is currently trying to obtain quotes for us, and we will on other possible health insurance plans, and we will update you on that. The district still can enter the RFQ process if that is something that we decide to do. And also, we will be hosting an insurance committee meeting this Friday, May 24th, and I believe it will be at Garfield at 4 p.m.
Amy, I'm sorry to interrupt, but, okay, do you have proposals already from committee? So they can review, or?
There's two things, members of the board, Mr. Mesa. First, as we mentioned last time, Brown is in the process of obtaining quotes. And then our goal is to share all of the information with the insurance committee and then mention to them options. So options are to review those recommendations by Brown, review the survey that the teachers, employees completed, and then make a recommendation to the board. The recommendation to the board, what we will share with them is that it could be to do an entire RFP for an insurance consultant, RFQ for an insurance consultant, or recommend that the board, go with a TRS, or recommend one of those quotes provided by Brown. So they will discuss the three different options, and then the insurance committee will make that presentation to the board. Now, Brown did mention that that two consultants, after reviewing our insurance claims, had rejected to participate because they knew they could not do better or anywhere close to where we were even at right now at a self-funded plan. So they're continuing to work to obtain quotes. But by the time that the committee meets, Brown knows that their job is to provide quotes for self-funded programs. And we're anticipating that they will have quotes.
Okay, I just want to make sure the committee knows that once you go into TRS, you're locked in for 5 years, because we will hear the complaints, not the committee. It'll be the board members.
And also, we'll invite board members to participate. Obviously, we can't have 4, but if we can have a couple people, if they can agree amongst yourselves who that would be, just so that everybody's hearing the same message and we can be very transparent about it.
So when is that? I know I saw it in the update, but don't remember the date.
It's next Friday, not this Friday, the following one.
No, it's scheduled for this Friday, the 24th at 4.
I'm sorry, yeah, this Friday.
This Friday. Okay.
Mr. Galindo wants to attend.
Okay, great. I'll check and see what I have. I'd like to be there too. Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
Very good. And then I just have, yeah.
Okay, yes. Yes, go ahead.
Just the next steps, I believe Dr. Rios was going to speak on this.
A couple of things. Today, if you haven't already received, we will share with you an updated worksheet, the interactive workbook that includes all of the projects that we can remove from fund balance. For example, Cody Warlaw is one of them, the road behind Del Rio High School, the parking lot behind Del Rio Middle School, all these projects that the board can choose not to do. So that's one of the options on there. The other option is the insurance plan that we provided, but also all of these positions that we shared for reorganization. They're on there. So that's the updated worksheet for y'all to provide feedback on what your recommendations are. But more importantly, by the next budget workshop, which will be next week, what we would like is to get more of an indication of what the board sees as our next steps moving forward, because two things have to happen. Either one, we have to start assigning individuals to vacancies, or we have to allow for the campuses to begin to make recommendations for those vacancies, because we can't wait until the budget is approved towards the end of June and then tell the campuses, okay, you can start interviewing now. We will create a really bad situation for them also. So at the next board meeting, we'd like to have a deeper discussion where the board says, you know, absolutely yes to this and absolutely no to that. And again, it's like I've mentioned with different board members, all of these reorganizations are the duties of the superintendent. And I'm supposed to do these reorganizations without consulting the board. But I think that we've worked as a team for this long, and I'd hate to make a decision on my own and then have somebody file a grievance and the board says, no, we shouldn't have done that. Okay, well, at that point, it's kind of late, and then I've created a real budget mess because now we got to fund two different positions. So I would rather that we just have a frank discussion about reorganization. That would be a close agenda item, and then come out and take some action. But again, we have to either tell the principals, don't hire for these positions, or start hiring for these, interviewing for these positions. So that I'd like for that to be our next step so that we can begin closer, because the month of June will go by really fast. And then we can't be scrambling at the end to see, you know, what we agreed to do. So the next meeting, it should be a little bit more decisive. We also would talk about the compensation plan. So I'd like to have that discussion with the board as well, if you guys will allow it, Mr. Mesa.
Sure. I just want to make sure we have a new board member, so I want to brief him on everything that's going on. It's, you come into the board running, because we're in the budget process, but there's a lot of detailed information. For example, that $2 million grant from, the state, Tony Gonzalez, and so, we don't want to tell them, no, we don't want that money. It'll go somewhere else, Equal Path, probably. So we have to look at those things and be very careful, because we just can't, let someone decide, I don't want this project. They have to know the information behind it. So, whatever we can do to assist our new board member, please. I've already told him to call me if you have any questions. But Mr. Overfeld has some questions. I'll turn it over to you, sir.
And Dr. Rios, that first, when you, just right now about the next steps, will you go back and tell me again that part about the next 2 weeks? Or reiterate what you said about the filling the positions or not filling the positions, and telling the principals to do that?
Yes, sir.
Remind me of that again.
There's two things that have to happen. On the one side, we have the administrative reorganization. So removing a principal from Del Rio Middle School, removing an assistant principal from Early College High School, the PEAMS coordinator, the Title I coordinator, all of this is a massive reorganization that involves campus leadership. And I need some certainty that that's the direction that the board is supporting us in reorganizing, so that I can begin some of those moves. On the other hand, we have positions that would go back to a campus. So take, for example, the 3 principal interns. Those individuals were expecting to be at an intern position for 2 years. If we put them back in a classroom, it doesn't necessarily save any money, but it doesn't add to the deficit. So the deficit that Ms. Childers shared with you today doesn't account for those 3 interns. That's just one example. Okay, the other example is the counselor positions. The counselor positions, they're currently counselors. Their grant is also coming to an end. We had committed to having 2 elementary counselors per elementary campus combat a lot of the mental health, the bullying, just provide that support. Again, if those individuals are going to go to a campus as a counselor, then they're not going to fill some of the elementary vacancies. I need to know what direction the board wants to support us in, so we either put those counselors in a teaching position or put them back or put them as counselors like we had planned before the deficit. And obviously, there's the librarians that would also fill a vacancy, and there is the art teachers, half art, half music teachers that would also fill a vacancy. But if the board doesn't believe that that's the best direction for the district to go and wants art teachers to remain as art teachers, music teachers remain as music, librarians as librarians, interns and administrative positions, or counselors in counseling positions, then the principals have to start interviewing to fill those existing vacancies. Right now, I have them on a freeze. I've told principals, don't interview, don't make any reassignments, because we don't know what people are going to be reorganized into existing vacancies. You know, we could wait until the budget is approved, but at that point, we've let the whole month of June go by, and now we have to fill all those vacancies in July, and it's difficult both for the campuses and for human resources to try to recruit that many teachers. Long answer, sir. I don't know if I explained myself.
Yeah, long answer. What I was after was something that you had mentioned in there about for art, music, librarians, etc., going in and being reassigned into classrooms, so for instance, or transferred into to classrooms, that those conversations would have to start up, or action would have to start up here in the next 2 weeks after this meeting. And the reason I bring that up is for the last week, my inbox and phone has been inundated by individuals going in and calling me about being called in and already told where they are going, so forth and so on, when we haven't had that conversation yet to go forward, as if it was almost the gun was, we jumped the gun, or administration on campuses jumped the gun. And there are fingers that are pointed every which way in all of this. But I think, and it can't be denied that it happened, because when I have people calling me and telling me I was just brought in, it happened. So I'm just curious if we were supposed to talk about it tonight, and then those decisions and those conversations with those individuals were supposed to start happening tomorrow and in the days after. Why are we already 7+ days into that discomfort level and that misinformation level that has gone in and occurred?
Now I understand your question. So I directed principals and I directed directors to be clear with the employees about what the recommendations would be. I also ensured that the principals told the individuals that these were only recommendations, that they were not finalized. Had they been finalized, HR would have given them a letter of reassignment. However, in the past, and this is something that the board asked of the superintendent, that we be transparent so that nobody feels like a decision was made without them knowing, or that they would get a letter in June or July saying, by the way, this is your reassignment. So in an effort to be transparent, to tell people, hey, this is what we're thinking about, so you're not surprised or you don't think the decision was made behind closed doors, I don't want to create situations where things are made uncomfortable about having employees fight for the present roles. I don't like it, but I much prefer having an employee come to the podium and address the superintendent and the board and say, hey, this is suggested, and this is why I don't like it, or this is why I don't agree with it. I much better prefer that situation than have an employee say, hey, y'all made the decision, and nobody told us about it. I would much rather invite that open dialogue so that we all know that it isn't a superintendent's decision, it isn't a board decision, it's all of us having to decide what's better. And I'm the one that created that transparency, sir, but not to create any type of heartache, but rather to have an open discussion and make a decision. And I think that through that open dialogue, we'll come up with decisions, whether it's to do away with Code of War law or have employees pay for their insurance or whatever the case may be. But I would much rather have that open dialogue than have people think that this happened without them having a chance to speak up. But again, nobody was told this is what's going to happen. HR is the only one that can tell people this is where you're going. Everything else is a recommendation, and I want to be clear. It's not the principal's recommendation, okay? It's administration's recommendation on ways to balance the budget.
Okay, so what you said there about principals were not to have told these individuals where they will be going. That is ultimately HR's. So several people that I talked to that already know where they're splitting campuses shouldn't have been told that by their principal?
They should have been told absolutely what the plan would be, but that it was a recommendation.
I think there's a huge breakdown in communication somewhere between your office and the principal's offices.
Well, sir, I'd like to sit down with the principal and the individual making those allegations, because every time that happens, and I made some of those phone calls myself to verify some of those informations, the result or the answer was, no, that's not what I said. So if there's an interest in doing away with that distraction, I welcome the conversation between the person who was told that and the principal and myself, because again, our angle is to be transparent, 100% transparent. With thinking out loud is dangerous, but it's a lot more dangerous to have people think that you're acting behind their back.
Okay. Well, I will contact those individuals and have them reach out to you, because
sure,
the phone's going off right now about it as they watch. So I have a couple more questions on some of the other stuff there. We talk about the PEAMS TSDS coordinator. So that coordinator, and I believe I remember in the update that they were in charge of a lot of the stuff that goes into the system. And with this new thing that TEA is rolling out, I believe you said it was TEA, and that a lot more of that will be automated there. I do worry about the automation, just because of the fact that going in and having, when you have to have 9 individuals double checking, as an example, transcripts for seniors and stuff like that, I worry about the automation piece. So just something to keep in mind on that. Campus leadership, you and I have had the conversation about ECHS. Now the assistant principal interns, and there are those 3 for cohort or grant cycle 6, which was ending this year. I guess it was the RFA where we applied for it, in what was in there, that the idea was to place these grow your own graduates on campuses by 2026, and then also place non-graduates in lead PLC teacher positions on all campuses, beginning with struggling campuses there. And it talks about if grant money is not available, general fund money will be used to make that system work. So, and you said that if we leave them in the principal position, it does not affect, or the AP position, it does not affect the deficit?
No, sir, it does affect the deficit, because their salary this year was paid 100% with grant funds. So if we leave them as intern positions, that grant is no longer there. So we would have to pay their whole salary from local funds.
Okay, so the funding for the 3 residents was $225,000 grant-funded dollars and $45,000 from the district for a total of $270,000. What was our $45,000 contribution for? Because I think, based on what it says here, principal mentors got a stipend, district grant manager got a stipend, and then there was money for tuition, materials, different things like that. Putting them back into the classroom, does that violate our MOU with Sol Ross at any point?
We're in discussions with Sol Ross right now, Mr. Mesa, because the discussion that I had with Sol Ross a year ago was that some type of leadership position would suffice. And they specifically mentioned, at that time, a cluster leader or department head, as long as it carried some administrative duties, possibly stipend, but possibly just part of what's in the job. So I had Sandra Hernandez send an email, and I got a response today that they still had to verify that. I discussed the second option, if Sol Ross wasn't comfortable with that, of doing a part-time internship and a part-time classroom assignment. Again, that's option B. I'm obviously not opposed to having them be interns, except that it would again add to the deficit.
Okay.
Now, I will say though, part of the grant was that they would be prioritized. So if there would be a vacancy, the district would have to prioritize the placement of those 3 individuals in a vacancy, even ahead of other people who would be certified.
Okay.
But again, I don't know if there's a vacancy yet, because we're talking about 1 less principal at Del Rio Middle School and 1 less assistant principal at Early College High School, 1 less PEAMS coordinator, 1 less Title I coordinator. So there's a whole lot of reorganization that has to happen. But we're definitely aware of that requirement in the grant.
Okay. Would you be able to tell us right now, because you talk about certification and stuff like that, how many assistant principals are currently on an emergency certification that are on campuses?
I think Sandra would do a better job of recalling that. I'm going to say 4 from what we looked at last week, because I think that at least 4 of them got their certification already. So I'm going to say 4. It might be 3.
That still need to certify out?
That are still on the waiver, yes.
So if these principal interns have everything passed at the end of the year, would
No, sir.
we not?
No, because they're not considered vacancies. They're in a position.
Right, but I mean the people whose emergency certification runs out.
Oh, okay, but I don't have.
If that happens.
Yeah, I wouldn't have 4 that run out, sir. I might have 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty. Add one other. What are elementary campus librarians classified on the pay scale? Or is that a 187?
No, sir.
Teacher, 187?
No, sir. They're under teacher pay as far as their daily rate, but they are, I believe, 195 days?
193.
193 days. Teacher pay, but instead of 187, they get 6 extra days.
So they go from a 193 to a 187 if they go back into the classroom?
Not for next year, for the following year. So the recommendation would include them receiving those 6 days extra pay for 1 year.
And because it changes that scale, even though they keep it for 1 extra year, that would not require board approval to move?
No, sir, it wouldn't. I wouldn't do it without y'all blessing it, but no, it doesn't require it.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I've just got,
Yes, Mr. Almaraz.
so I've got a comment. I mean, obviously, I'm the new guy here, right? Been in maybe 2 hours, but, you know, I think one of the more important things and to echo what Mr. Mesa said about the Cody Wardlaw gym, the 1.2 million, you know, looking at this here and seeing how many people, how many families are going to be affected directly with this, and even the workload that you're going to have to pick up, Dr. Rios, is trying to find that, you know, that 2 week, having that 2 week buffer to fill these positions, to start working on these things. I mean, this is just me, you know, kind of an outsider looking in right now, jumping on this treadmill at full speed, trying to catch my feet from under me. But that seems pretty reasonable, you know, just kind of postponing that Cody Wardlaw. As much as I would hate to say that because I love sports, you know, I'm a big sports advocate. We need a gym. We do need that for the community. But how many lives are we affecting if we don't do that and possibly use these funds for those positions and keep them there? Yes, we're still short about 500,000, but that's a big drop in the bucket. You know, 1.2 versus 1.7, and you know, again, you know, 20 plus families that we're affecting. You know, it really does. You know, I really think it hits home with that. The Cody Wardlaw gym. You know, how many lives are we really affecting there? You know, how many people are going to be losing sleep over that? Probably none. But I do agree with that, Mr. Mesa, 100%.
Thank you so much. Yes, Mr. Lindo.
One of the questions I do have, when we're looking at the insurance, is this the final rate that we're getting? Because it's changed already twice. And I knew it was going to do it because y'all said it could change. But is this the final rate that we're getting, or there's still a chance for it to go up and we experience more of a deficit?
No, sir, that is not the final rate. Unfortunately, the first rate we received was for Region 15 in San Antonio, because the consultant, like everybody else, said, hey, it makes sense for us to be part of the San Antonio region. No, we're West Texas. We're part of San Angelo. So just for belonging to the San Angelo Service Center, the insurance rate goes up about $50 per employee per month. And then Ms. Childress did a little bit more research, and she found the planning rates for the next plan year. And those went up about another $50, more or less. Two more things have to happen. One, we have to send all our billing information to TRS Active Care, and based on the rates, they can assign a higher rate. I don't know how much that would be. I guess it would be an additional $50 per employee per month. And then we would normalize after that gap. Then we would assume the rate for the service center. So we still have some planning to go. That's why it's important that we have some money in fund balance, because we expect that rate would go up and we would no longer have fund balance. And by no longer have fund balance, I mean insurance fund balance to cover the increased cost. Now, on a conservative side, I would venture to say that they would assign us a $50 increase per employee per month compared to what they're currently charging. But that is just an educated guess.
And if it was to go up 50, are we going to put that cost on the employee, or is you're going to use fund balance to cover it even if it goes up 50?
Our goal is to provide health insurance, health insurance options to the employees at no cost. And the reason that that's important, I think that at least in hearing the discussions from trustees and from different individuals who would be affected, if we can't give an increase, a salary increase to employees this year, then at least let's try to cover the insurance at whatever rate is possible. Or give the employees an increase and then have an insurance adjustment on the employee side. But right now, the safest thing to do, because we don't know what the rates are, just to commit to provide the employees with a 100% funded health insurance. Because if you were to give the employees a raise, let's say you went with a 2% raise, the average employee would take per paycheck about $20 extra a paycheck. But the insurance could go up as much as $100 a month. So it's a safer bet to tell the employees, I'm committing to paying your insurance 100% this year, but we're not going to recommend a raise. They would be hurt a lot less. That's why administration would recommend that you cover the cost. And again, the insurance committee might say, we'll take our chances, give us a raise. Okay, well, then they can definitely make that recommendation to the board as well. But Mr. Oberfeld had a lot of questions because all these decisions are going to affect individuals. We get that. But at the end of the day, that close to $6 million deficit, the only way it's going to be overcome is through savings of the health insurance, increased money from the state, which is not going to happen nowhere near that too. I mean, if we were to get an extra $1 million from the state, it would be terrific. The rest of it has to happen through reductions. And they're not reductions that, our team of 8 or administrative team is inventing. These are reductions that we're gaining from research in other districts. At the end of the day, we either have to cut our expenses, and there are other ways of cutting the expenses, they're just more drastic. Or cut personnel. And by cut personnel, I mean reassign personnel. That deficit is not going to go away.
Okay. And that's understanding that, and I understand. I think when we look at the Cody Wardlaw Gymnasium, and trust me, last year when we voted to do this, it was when we were in a way better position, and it was going to be a great outfit for the community. However, we're in a way different time frame a year later, and we haven't had Cody Wardlaw for years. And while it would be nice to have these changes just overall, from campus leadership to personnel to district leadership, that is a very heavy burden. And what I'm trying to get at is we need to try to maximize every effort, and that does mean getting together, meeting with the city, trying to figure out what option we have with them, if they still want in, if they still want out, but maximize every effort. If we have to push it to next year and see what we do, we're still maximizing every effort to try to keep everything as same as possible for the benefit of the students, the teachers, and the community members who have reached out to us to let us know about these issues that ultimately affect their kids, whether it's in a school library, an art room, a music room. Josh alluded to the beams direction, making sure seniors get their transcripts correctly. There's a lot of different things to look at, and I know that we're trying to look at something by next week. Do I think it's gonna happen? I really don't, because this is a large decision to still make. I know that's the direction we want to go. Even talking to the principals, I really wish it would have waited till we would have talked about it today, and then if you needed to tell the principals, it would have met halfway, all the way around. It's already done, I understand that. But I think we really got to look at these positions and maximize every effort, because we may lose personnel next year, and you may be able to use those positions to go back into the fund balance. Some of these positions were, I could name 2, 3 of them that were done by people resigning. And if we can get creative and try to figure out, okay, we don't fill those positions next year, and try to work out with everybody and try to still save that money in a way we can. I think just it would be a tough thing to go through this year. I understand we are in a tough situation. Wait to see what the state does next year. They may or may not. I know you've told that to us. They may not do anything, and we understand that. I just want to make sure we maximize every effort we can to try to do as much as possible, and as also with the grant, if you could just get us a for sure answer on that with Sol Ross as to what they can do as well, what we're wanting to do. Yes, the gym would be great. Don't get me wrong. It's just that a building over people is kind of a hard thing to, it's like they say we're out of money. We can't just keep putting buildings out of nowhere and staff that on our, put that on our staff. And we can wait, let's wait, and let's get together as a board and try to figure out what we're gonna be able to do with this specific project and move forward. And if we can't, at the end of the day, we also gotta maintain to take care of our staff as well. And I understand there's no layoffs, I get it. But this still does affect everybody, you know, all around as a district. Thank you.
Yeah. Dr. Ruiz?
So, not doing Cody Warlaw is an easy decision. The city may be unhappy with us, or maybe we could come up with a resolution that make it easier for the city. The part that is difficult for me to clarify, because it puts me in a position to seem like I'm going against the board, and I'm really not. I've made it clear, it's your money. I just help administer it for y'all. The difficult part is that the deficit is at almost $6 million. Okay, so let's just say that the one that has more community support, I think, for not doing away with would be librarians and fine arts, because that's what most people talk about. Okay? So let's just say that we said, hey, 1.2 million, that's librarians and fine arts programs. At the end of the day, that is a one-year decision, okay? Because the following year, we absolutely have to finish reducing the budget by the entire $6 million. Our goal was to do some this year and some next year, because next year, we're talking about reducing instructional aids in the bilingual and the special education department. We're talking about reducing the budget for technology. We're talking about reducing custodians at the campuses, because we have to make up the remaining of $4 million in deficit. This year, we're talking about $2 million, plus another maybe $700,000 in insurance. This reductions that I'm proposing this year are way less than the reductions that we have to propose for next year. Everything that doesn't get done this year has to be done the following year. And I'm not talking about positions, I'm talking about the amount of money. I absolutely agree that Cody Warlaw shouldn't be prioritized over a program. But that buys us 1 year. We still have to reduce the budget the following year. Now, it doesn't have to be any of the recommendations that we shared with you all today, but the reductions, it just needs to be abundantly clear, Board. The reductions that we're recommending this year are only half, or I should say a third. Next year, we have to recommend the other 2/3, and they're going to be harder. The only reason that we can do only 1/3 this year is because we have still fund balance. Next year, we will not have at all fund balance to cover those expenses. And I just want to be clear, I don't want to do any of these reductions. Not one of them. It's not, it's a terrible, ugly thing. And there's a lot of superintendents that have retired because they don't want to face these consequences. I don't want to do any of them, but this is only a third of the reductions we have to make for next year. And that's what's difficult about not making any reductions this year. I think the interns are incredible people. Librarians definitely do a lot for supporting the culture at a campus. Art and music, absolutely. But there has to be $6 million worth of cuts, and they have to come from somewhere. That really is the bottom line. And not doing Cody Warlaw is easy, but it only buys us 1 year.
Okay. I came in early and I spoke to Dr. Rios about the 3 interns, for example, and so just be aware that we're all concerned with these things because, we promised one thing and, we're not delivering, although, this is a problem that came from the state. But I also want to know that I've asked for some things like, what if you know, every employee contributes $50, $100, you know, like, let's say every month. You know, I haven't gotten that information yet. So I want to put everything together, and then, you know, we still have, what, June 30th is the deadline for adopting the budget?
Yes, sir.
We're running out of time, but I still need to have all that information so that I can, because again, like tonight, I mean, I'm seeing that and I'm thinking, let the city wait 3 years if, you know, if they want to wait. If not, then that's okay. But to me, that's not a priority. And again, that's just me, but we need to go on with this meeting. Sorry, Amy.
That's right. That's all I have.
Okay, next item we have is item C, term 5, attendance and discipline. Questions? We're good with that? I think, Laura, the only thing I needed was, we didn't have the comparison for elementary from last year. We had the secondary, but we didn't have the comparison for elementary. And congratulations, San Felipe Middle School, great attendance, Lonnie Green, Ceniza Hills, Buena Vista, did I ever say Buena Vista? Ceniza Hills, and Dr. Lonnie Green. Awesome. Even Cardwell, I'm seeing the numbers up 90%, I think 89 point something. So that's awesome. Elementary, you're doing a great job. At San Felipe Middle School, congratulations. Secondary is a little bit tougher. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay, we go on to School and Safety Intruder Detection Audit Report. Chief Foss.
Probably in front, Hector. Can you call him?
And,
No, we'll table that discussion, sir. Wait.
I want to say, principals, I always talk about how important it is to have good attendance because, you know, that's the funding that we get from the state through attendance. And so every effort that you do, I know you do a lot of good things to promote good attendance. I really appreciate that. Okay, see how we did with the intruder detection report.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Tonight, I will present the intruder detection audit report. We are 100% of campuses are completed. For the year, we had 6 findings and 1 corrective action pending. The corrective action was a result of an assessment that was done on May 2nd, and during that assessment, they had a finding with the weekly door sweeps, logs that were supposed to be maintained weekly. We've already had the training with the staff that was completed on May 7th, and after the board meeting, we'll be submitting our corrective actions, and that should do it for the year.
Questions, Mr. Galindo?
Was that 6 findings at one school?
No, 6 findings total district-wide.
District-wide, okay. It just threw me off because I saw findings. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't all at one school.
No.
Anyone else? And I understand the reunification of a high school went great. Lots of collaboration between all entities.
Yes, sir. I believe it went very smooth. We have some things that we need to iron out, but overall, I think it was a good
Great.
success.
Anyone else with a question? Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, we go on to the consent agenda. Again, one item, we'll approve all items on the consent agenda, one action. If there's any questions from board members, please pull that item out or ask the question now. In the meantime, I just want to say the donations will be posted on social media. And again, we thank every individual that contributes to the school district, different programs throughout. So again, thank you to the people that make the donations. We will have them posted, right?
Yes, sir. I
Okay.
think Mr. Luna has already posted.
Okay, great, awesome. So So again, thank you. Any item that needs to be pulled, Mr. Overfeld?
Yes, sir. I'd like to pull F1 and G1.
F1 and G1. Okay.
Is there a question?
Yes, sir. F1, consideration to approve purchase order of $25,000 of Brown Automotive or Cecil Atkinson, not to exceed $95,000 for purchase of pre-owned trucks. My only question or concern on that is, with what we're facing, do we need $95,000 worth of pre-owned trucks right now?
Yes, we do, Mr. Overfeld, and here's why. We have 5 technicians that drive around the district responding to calls, and they use their own vehicles, and we're required to reimburse them the state mileage. We believe that the cost of reimbursing mileage to employees is a lot larger than than the life we would get out of these vehicles. So we're not adding, we're trying to subtract from the expenses by appropriately using that money. Because essentially when we're reimbursing mileage for a vehicle, you're reimbursing the rate for buying a brand new vehicle. That's really what it comes out to. So buying used vehicles for in-town use is a lot cheaper than reimbursing mileage. We can't get away from reimbursing the mileage if we don't provide them a vehicle.
Okay, so in that same line of, it just says pre-owned trucks, so I'm not sure how many are on there, but for our budget book, I've got on here for the budget next year, technology wants used department service trucks at $60,000. So
we're removing that from, the last conversation we had is that wasn't a recommendation that we would move forward on. We're trying to deal with this year's budget.
Okay, so these are not those.
Correct. That's with budget money that we have this year.
How many are, I'm getting to the point where I need glasses. Is Mr. Salinas here? How many buses are we buying? Buses. How many trucks are we buying?
He's not here, sir, but we could buy up to 5 used vehicles if we find the right vehicles at the right price. We just want to have an active PO, open PO, so that we can purchase them as they become available.
Okay.
For a low price.
Alrighty. Thank you. The next one would be on G1, contract over $5,000 to Alan Mullenix for the high school marching band percussion and electronics design. I know none of the directors are here. Maybe you could speak to that, sir.
Come on, Mr. Rios. Come to the podium.
Hurry up. No, I'm just kidding.
Just curious as to what that entails, and is it not something with all of our smart band directors and assistants that we can't do in-house?
Well, this is a top-notch drill designer that we get so that we can have a more competitive show, and it's something that's, there's people out there that do this sort of thing to, just like the drill design itself, it's just so that, again, just to be more competitive. And so my guys are great, but they're not quite as great as what this can provide. And that's one of the main reasons why we've been able to, we made state in 2020. We've made state by a couple of bands in the years since then. And so that's the reason to try to get a top-notch designer.
Good deal. I appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I had questions on that truck too, because if you read the description on the truck for technology, it said they run between 15,000 and 19,000, and we're budgeting 95,000. So it doesn't have the exact number of vehicles that we're purchasing. So maybe it'll help next time.
Well, because we don't have those vehicles selected yet, Mr. Mesa. We don't.
No, I know, but so we can understand the amount.
Oh,
Because,
yes, sir.
yeah, it said, what, between 15 and 19,000, but it didn't say how many vehicles. I just thought like one, and then I thought maybe it's the equipment that is going to be on these trucks. So it helps if we have the number of trucks that we're buying. So anyone else with a question for consent? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mr. Orfeld, seconded by Mrs. Webb. All those in favor? Motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. We go on to administration, item 13A. Name a board of trustees to represent the board in the San Felipe Del Rio CISD Education Foundation Committee. Dr. Rios.
Mr. Mesa, when the Education Foundation was first established, there was the agreement that there would be a board member that would actively participate with the foundation. Mr. Chavira, who was a board member then, actively participated with the foundation, but he's no longer on the board. We haven't had a board member there. There's been at different times, the foundation leadership has requested that we have a board member who is willing and able to fully participate in all the activities. For example, we have an Adventure on the Creek race this week. Participation doesn't mean you go and you run the race. It means that you're there as a worker, just like the rest of us, doing whatever, manning whatever areas needed. There's obviously some ticket sales because we are there to raise money for teachers. There's organization of the main fundraiser, sitting on a scholarship review committee, sitting on the committee to select the recipients of the grant awards. So it isn't 5 hours a week, but it is 5 hours a month, I would say, in all fairness. I know that I had visited with Mr. Galindo. I visited with Ms. Becky Chavez and also Ms. Webb. I would say that it's really open to whoever the board wishes, but I know that we have a curriculum committee that we started actively engaging in, and we hope that meets more often. So we have to consider who's on the curriculum committee and can they handle both things. We obviously have the finance committee and we have the policy committee. Sometimes I feel like it's asking the board a lot because this is all in your time. But anyhow, we'd like to have a member on the Education Foundation. But it is work. It isn't just one meeting a month.
I thought it was one meeting a month. That's how I explained it. Any volunteers? You want to be on it?
Yeah, I can do it.
Oh,
Okay, great.
Oh, okay, no, you're fine.
I thought y'all were looking at me.
You're fine. No, whichever.
Okay,
I'm open.
yeah.
I'd like
Great.
to put forth Mr. Diego Almaraz.
There's a motion before the floor.
You're buying your tickets.
Yeah. So we're running then this weekend.
I'll second the motion. All those in favor? Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it. Okay.
Let's have a round of applause, principals.
Wow, we're down to item 20, closed session, 8:47. Pursuant to policy 551.074 and 551.071, we will go into closed session. If an action item is to be considered, it will be taken upon reconvening to open session. The time is 9:47. We're in closed session now. Thank you. Okay, the time is 10:21 p.m. We're reconvening to open session. No action was taken in executive. We're down to item 21. Consideration to approve the personnel report to include the following. new hires, district vacancies, retirements, resignations. Sandra Hernandez.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. The administration presents the May 2024 personnel report and recommends the following new hires. Aurora G. Flores, social studies teacher at San Felipe Memorial Middle School. Michael Lester, music teacher, assistant band director at San Felipe Memorial Middle School. Matthew Escobedo, music teacher, assistant band director at Del Rio Middle School, 7th grade. Maria Ortega, mathematics teacher at Blended Academy. And Luis M. Navarro, project Lead the Way engineering teacher at the CTE Center.
For the recommendation from administration, is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Orfeld, seconded by Mr. Diego Almaraz. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, sir.
There being no other items on the agenda, is there a motion for adjournment? A motion made by Mr. Orfeld, seconded by Becky Chavez. All those in favor? Thank you so much. We are adjourned.